Alright, this notebook is just a quick review and introduction to Python, the Jupyter notebook, a little bit of Numpy, and some Matplotlib and plotting, as well as some basic pandas stuff that we discussed in class. So to begin, I'm going to import my libraries. Something to make note of is that I'm going to use, instead of Matplotlib inline, I'm going to use a different version, a newer version called Matplotlib notebook of this magic function, and we'll see that in action later. Then I'm just going to import my plotting library, NumPy, and pandas. So to begin, let's generate a bunch of 100 random integers between 1 and 20 using the NumPy random randint method. And I'll name that A, and then I can look at a histogram of these values by, this is the difference with the notebook command. Every time I want to create a plot, I have to create a new figure object as well, because I'm able to plot to the same figure even in later cells, which is different than in the Matplotlib notebook function. So now if I look at a histogram of this, okay, there we go. Pretty straightforward. So let's look at some other kinds of random numbers. Now I'm going to create a list B. This is 100 random floats between 0 and 1. I can create a bunch of random numbers that are normally distributed. I can create a binomial distribution, 100 trials with 30% likelihood. If you want to see something of those commands, remember how we look at the help function with the question mark. And you see, as binomial says, this is the number of integers, the parameter, and the size, right? The probability, the number, and the size of the number of samples, right? And trials, p success. If we want to look at a slice, like the first 5 members of that list A, or that array A, remember how we slice with the colon, 5. And finally, if we wanted to create a plot of all of these, I can create a figure object and create 4 subplots with the histogram function, just calling each individual list. And I just went ahead and added some color to these as well. And the idea here is that the subplot command, what this does is this tells us 2 rows, 2 columns. This is going to be the first of those plots. 2 rows, 2 columns, this is the second. 2 rows, 2 columns, this is the third, the fourth. So the index is the only thing that's changing, because this is saying which number within this 2x2 plot to draw these guys. I could also make a scatter plot with scatter if I wanted to look at maybe 2 of these lists against each other. I can make box plots if I create a list of those different distributions, create a figure and a box plot of that list of things. I'll get 4 box plots in a distribution here. Similarly, maybe you don't like these histograms. You want to see a smoother example. We have in Seaborn a distribution plot function that we can use. So here I'm just going to loop through 3 of those distributions after importing Seaborn and create a distribution plot from them, and we can see what that looks like. Matplotlib doesn't have a nice native distribution plot function. It just has the histograms. Okay, so that's just some basic uses of NumPy and NumPy arrays, as well as Matplotlib and plotting some different base graphs using Matplotlib and Seaborn.